Chapter 6. The House of Bronze. The runes on the walls of runestone had outlasted kings and conquerors, the bronze still bright where the sea wind licked it clean. They said each carving was a ward, a spell cast by the first men to keep darkness at bay. Yohn Royce ran a calloused hand across one as dawn bled over the Vale, feeling the grooves his forebears had cut with bronze blades before the Andals ever set foot upon these shores. Bronze endures, he thought. Stone crumbles. Yet what endures is not always what rules. The Arryn falcon flew above him, carved in marble at the eyrie, not bronze. Peter Baelish wore no falcon, only a mockingbird, yet the lords bent the knee to him all the same. A man risen from nothing, a lord of paper and whispers. And now sweet Robin was dead. The railing had snapped, they said. A boy too frail, too nervous, leaning too far across the gallery. Yohn Royce had seen boys fall before, but not like this. Not from wood that had been mended the very moon before, with iron nails driven new into pale timber. He had spoken to the carpenter himself, a sweating fellow from Gulltown, who swore by his mother's grave the work had been sound. Yet when Yohn inspected the shattered rail, the nails came out smooth, their points eaten as though by rust, though they'd been forged scarcely weeks ago. Something was wrong. He set about asking questions, careful to keep his voice low. A guardsman swore the boy had been trembling before the fall, his limbs shaking not from his usual weakness, but as though seized by some fit. A scullion whispered that the young lord's lips were pale that morning, a faint froth at their corners. Poison, Yohn thought grimly. A sweet poison, perhaps. One of those potions that left a tremor in the blood. There are days that, no matter the years between, remain bright in the mind's eye. Yohn remembered his wedding day, the sun settling crimson behind the cliffs of runestone, the tide frothing silver below. He had stood with his bride's hand in his, counting his blessings, counting himself fortunate beyond measure. That sunset was etched into him, a glint of red and gold like the sheen sunlight makes when it strikes bronze in just the right way. He had taken it for an omen then, a promise that his line would endure, as runestone had endured, as bronze endured. That he should think upon it now, on the heels of a child's death and in the shadow of whispers, seemed fitting. Even in the darkest days, bronze does not tarnish. He thought of the runes cut into the old armour his grandsire had worn, each line said to hold the strength of the first men who had carved them, when Royces were kings of the Vale and the Arryn falcon had not yet flown. Those were the days when the Vale answered to runestone, not the eyrie. The Andals had come with their septs and steel, and the Royces had bent the knee, yet they had not broken. The falcon ruled from its perch, proud and pale in marble, but bronze outlasted marble, as it outlasted all things. He recalled sitting in the eyrie as a boy, under the cold gaze of Lord Artis Arryn's statue, the falcon knight who had driven the Royces into vassalage, who had cast down runestone's crown. Yohn had burned then with the pride of his blood, even as he bent the knee. That sting had never fully faded. Bronze had not ruled for many centuries, true, but bronze endured. And now Baelish, with no bronze, no falcon, no blood of first men nor Andal kings, presumed to play at lordship as though mocking both lineages. A mockingbird pecking at falcon and rune alike, fattening himself on carrion while true houses starved of power. It could not stand. It would not. Yet who would poison a sickly boy? Who stood to gain? Lyn Corbray was the first name on every tongue, Too proud, too angry, too deep in debt. Yohn pressed him hard, but Corbray only laughed, hand resting on Lady Forlorn's hilt as though daring Royce to draw first blood. He swore he had no love for Baelish, but he swore it with such fury Yohn wondered if the man protested too much. Then came the whisper of coin. Sir Artis of Old Anchor, one of Yohn's own household knights, was said to owe Baelish's factors more gold than his lands were worth. The man had been on duty the morning of the fall. Yohn found him in the armoury, sharpening a sword that no longer held an edge, and pressed him. Artis broke like a rotten spar. Yes, he'd taken coin. Yes, he'd done what was asked. But it was not Baelish who had bought him. "It was Templeton, my lord," Artis sobbed, sweat dripping onto the whetstone. "Sir Simon himself. He bade me see the boy drank his milk, said it would help him sleep. I never meant—" Yohn left him there, sick with doubt. Simon Templeton, not Baelish. Could it be so simple? A lord of middling blood, eager to rise, eager to step into a power vacuum. The tale had the ring of truth. But truth can be hammered, bent, shaped like bronze in the fire. Yohn knew it. Still, for a day and a night the suspicion gnawed him, that he was wrong, that Baelish was clean of this crime. That night, when the yard was empty and the torches burned low, he returned to the place of the boy's fall. The broken rail gleamed pale, the stone beneath still stained. Yohn bowed his head and murmured a prayer to the old gods. When he raised it again, he was not alone. A knight stood across the yard, helmed and cloaked, moonlight silvering the lines of his armour. The same knight who had ridden in the tourney under no banner, who had unhorsed 3 challengers and vanished before his name could be called. The figure lifted a gauntlet in salute, then turned toward the woods. Yohn followed. Through pine and shale he tracked him, until in a clearing the knight unhelmed. "Brynden Tully," Yohn said. "The Blackfish." Brynden's eyes glinted. "And you, Bronze Yohn, still hard enough to break teeth." They spoke beneath the trees, breath steaming in the cold. Yohn told him of Artis's confession, of Templeton's milk and the boy's trembling. The Blackfish listened, then shook his head. "A lie laid to catch a lord slow to doubt. Templeton is vain, yes, but not cunning. He would not weave poison into milk. That trick has Baelish's hand all over it. He planted the whisper, set your knight to confess what was never his crime. So long as you doubt, Baelish wins." Yohn's blood went hot. To be led astray so easily. To be made a fool while a boy's death was mocked in whispers. The girl, too, Brynden went on, lower now. Elaine Stone. That is no bastard. She is Sansa Stark, Lord Eddard's daughter. Baelish keeps her close, grooms her for his snare. With the boy dead, he will wed her to Harry the heir, the Vale, and through her the north. All his. The wind shivered the pines above them. Brynden's mouth twisted into something grim. Mockingbirds nest where they please. Today in marble falconries, tomorrow in bronze halls, if we let them. But a mockingbird has no talons, Yohn. No runes to ward him, no bronze to shield him. His power lives only so long as honest men mistake his song for truth. Yohn felt the weight of bronze on his shoulders, the memory of his house, his forebears, all those runes cut to ward against evil. It was not enough to endure. One must act. "What do you propose?" "That we cut the cords before the noose is drawn tight," Brynden said. "Expose him. Show the lords what he is." Yohn drew his cloak close, the sea air biting his bones. "Runes endure," he said.
even when stone crumbles. Bronze does not sing, but it speaks. We will carve the truth where all can see it. They clasped hands beneath the dark trees, two old warriors against a web of lies. Lady Anya Wainwood listened to Yohn's tale in her hall at Iron Oaks. When he named Baelish, her mouth tightened. When he named Elaine Stone for Stark, her eyes sharpened.
Baelish, she said, spitting the word like a bitter seed. His grandsire sold lamp oil in Gulltown. I was a girl when his line was raised from nothing. Now his crowing grandson dares to lord it over houses whose roots run back before the Andals? It stinks of rot. So that is the game. He would have foisted her on my Harry, and I thought it queer. Now it is plain. A wolf in a falcon's nest, a mockingbird's leash about her throat. He thinks to bind the Vale and the North both. He will find this oak harder to bend. The Wainwoods had long fostered heirs of the Vale, hardening them like green wood into steel. Once they had held the gates of the moon itself. They had bled in the Blackfire Wars and jousted beside Royce's in the Ninepenny King's War. They did not forget, nor forgive. "You'll have me in this," Lady Anya said at last, fists on her knees. "The falcon is marble, the rune is bronze, but a mockingbird is only feathers. We'll pluck them." "Good," Yohn said. "Then we are three, Royce, Tully, and Wainwood. The boy's death will not be buried in whispers. The truth will be carved." Her smile was grim. "So let us choose the stone on which we carve it. And mark me, Yohn, Harry must be told. He is the falcon's future, and no heir should be kept blind. Better he learn from us than from Baelish's forked tongue." Yohn inclined his head, bronze to oak. "Then the next step is his." And in the eyrie above, Peter Baelish slept soundly, dreaming of falcons he had never earned, and runes he could never read.